Good evening to you. Mark Sott with HurricaneTrack.com. Here it is 9 o'clock straight up, and time for my evening Hurricane Ian update. Very devastating impacts to southwest Florida. We know all about that. That is still occurring. It is moving across the state. People are hurting down there. They're needing to be rescued. It is a big story that's going to be unfolding, but we need to understand that there's still going to be significant impacts for the rest of Central Florida. And then the northeast part of the state is already kind of raging out my window here. My hotel is in Orlando. So here we are. Let's talk about it. Let me show you what we've got out there. National Hurricane Center from the 8 p.m. intermediate advisory. Still a major hurricane, 115 miles per hour over Florida. I'll show you on our zoomed in map in just a second where the center is and the radar. Pressure 960 millibars, moving very slowly now northeast by north-northeast there, at 8 miles per hour. All right, this is what it looks like on that really awesome radar loop that we like to show from Dr. Mark Nissenbaum from Florida State University. And you can see it made landfall down here in southwest Florida. There's the center of circulation in there. And it is starting to really dump that rainfall on the north and west side. Now, getting into the meteorology of exactly why it's pretty open on the southeast side, I don't have time for tonight. But it is really piling it up. It's got that trough that it's interacting with over here. That's basically the gist of it. And it is just wringing that moisture out. Winter Haven over to Tampa, St. Petersburg, at least sliding away from there, but still very strong north to northwest winds coming around through Charlotte Harbor, hammering that area that had so much storm surge today down into Fort Myers. Just a really bad situation. And all of this is going to move across and eventually out over the ocean here, where it could regenerate and maybe even, it might not lose its intensity as being a hurricane. If it does, it could regenerate hurricane intensity as it gets back out over the Atlantic. And that's what I want to show you here. This is the GFS from the 18Z run today. I'm going to show you this and the Euro and just kind of paint the picture for you that this has a huge area of influence. These winds here, 10 meters in the atmosphere, really piling into the northeast coast of Florida. This is basically about now that this is valid for. If we move this out into time, it lumbers its way across Florida into the Atlantic there. Kind of some weird movements that it does, but it's very slow moving, and the pressure really doesn't rise that much. It's about 987 on the GFS there, and then it deepens again, strengthens. The GFS has it as pretty much a hurricane again at 982. And then the GFS has it making landfall somewhere in the vicinity of, Beaufort, South Carolina, plus or minus, right? And that would put strong onshore flow right into Charleston and areas north and south of there, even up to the North Carolina coast. Tropical storm conditions are possible up here. It's not going to surprise me if we see a hurricane warning go up because of this. The GFS pretty aggressive with this. Over the next couple of days there, you can see it moves in, and then it'll pinwheel back in to South Carolina, bringing very heavy rainfall. I want to go back to the National Hurricane Center homepage and show you that. First of all, the peak storm surge, very important to show you these areas here, 2 to 4 feet in parts of the northeast South Carolina coast, but from there down to the Altamaha Sound, 3 to 5. And then from there down to Flagler-Volusia County line 4 to 6. This was earlier today. This is subsiding, thank goodness. That was horrifying what we saw down there. Just absolutely, this is what we talk about when we say it only takes one. This could be the one for 2022, and it'll be long remembered. But you folks up here along the Carolina and Georgia coast and even northeast Florida, you need to be prepared for this, and that includes the St. Johns River. That is why it says that. That wind really piling in there, driving the St. Johns River in, and that can cause some flooding. You remember Matthew, you remember Irma. If you don't, go look it up. Ask your friends and neighbors that did deal with it. This is going to be very problematic for that part of Florida, and then eventually, like I said, the Carolinas as well. All right, moving along to the Euro, I want to show you this and compare it to the GFS. Fairly similar overall. The Euro brings it in, again, pretty close to Beaufort, South Carolina, and what is that, Hilton Head down there, that vicinity. So they're not real far apart, but a little bit more south and west, and it would keep the Charleston area out of the worst of the wind. Still, this is more than 2 days out. Enough. I mean, look at what we saw these last couple of days. It looked like it could go to Cedar Key. Wasn't that angle, but you get it. You know, the angles can change. The track can change even with just 2 days. So if I'm in Charleston, if I'm in Georgetown, I'm in the Pawleys Island area, Murrells Inlet, Savannah, Brunswick, I am planning for a hurricane. If you just plan for that, look at what happened in Florida. This has been an overachiever. It almost made it to Category 5 intensity, and if they go back and look at it in postseason and it gets upgraded to Category 5 intensity, that wouldn't shock me at all. This has overachieved the entire time. Why would it quit now? You folks, especially in Georgia and South Carolina, need to be preparing for a hurricane, and that's why you're under a hurricane watch. At least part of the reason hurricane conditions are possible. All right, over on our interactive map, I just want to show you where it is. The center of circulation located right here, a little bit east of the forecast track. That is very important because the more east this gets, you know, if it just stays on that track, it could come right over the Cape, or it could get back on track. It's going to wobble a little bit, so don't read too much into that. But it is east of track right now by a little bit, the center of circulation. These are all of our camera systems down here. Some of them worked, some of them didn't, some of them are coming back online now. Wow, what a challenge it was, let me tell you. We'll talk about that another time. But it is going to move up this way, generally speaking, and when it gets offshore, those northeast winds are going to pile in here, Palm Coast, Marineland, and then into the St. Johns River area up here. And let's get rid of the camera icons just for a moment so we can show this better. This is the area all through here could flood badly. Jacksonville, absolutely. So people need to be getting ready for that and be ready to take it very seriously. Protect yourselves. Don't be out there. You think 3 to 5 feet, that's no big deal, but that water could be rushing in, and you know it could cause a lot of problems. And if you're not smart and careful, it could drown you. You have to call 911 and get rescued. Certainly don't drive out in it. Just a terrible situation, this late September hurricane that will be remembered for a very, very long time. All right, real quick about our plans. All of our assets in Southwest Florida will remain there. Again, some of them are online. They're coming back on. Let me just pan down here a little bit and turn on that layer. And let's just see what's on real quick while I got you, so to speak. It's been an interesting day. So we had one up here in Arcadia. And as we wait for this to populate the nest feed, yes, that's back on. They're obviously basically without power there. Let's zoom in down here. The one we had over in Punta Gorda on the highway there, offline. Probably the cell network. That's been the story so far from all of this. The marina, this camera actually slid off the tree that we had it on. It's running, but we really can't see anything. And of course, it's pitch dark down there now. This is the one that was on the canal. That is also still running, but it's pitch dark. We can't see anything. Sliding on over towards the Fort Myers area. Let's see what we've got. This is the one that was in downtown. Let's see if this is online. It is, and it's got the night vision going. That is the pole that we attached it to, and at least the water level appears to have gone down a little bit there. We were seeing waves over here earlier. There's some water or something right there, so the water level is still kind of high down there, but it didn't get high enough to submerge the camera chained onto this utility pole so that it doesn't float away. Yeah, there's water going by right there, so the water levels are still dangerously high down there in the Fort Myers area. Let's check out Cape Coral. This one was trying to come back. They've been off and on up here, the Fort Myers area. Nope, this is at I call it a nature preserve area. It's not, but that's what it looked like back there. So some of these are having network issues. Captiva was on for a long time, then it went off, and it starts sending these little packets, these Nest cams. They'll send 30 seconds, 12 seconds, 2 seconds of data, and that's video. And we're able to see that in our Nest app on our end, and I'll try to capture some of that. And finally, Marco Island was on this morning. It's been trying to come back on. It's hard. This is hard. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. We had a big network. We put a valiant effort in, but it's not over. So what we're going to do, we're going to head up here. My colleague Matt and I, we're going to stick something either on the St. Johns River or somewhere over here on the coast. I'm leaning towards the St. Johns River because I've never done that before with a Florida impact system. So I'm going to be working with some people to gather some intel on where to put the camera. We've only got one that we can put in Florida now, one left. We have an arsenal of about 16 total cameras available right now. We have put 14 out, so we have 2 left. And then the other one is going to go up here in the Charleston Harbor area. I know exactly where I'm going to put it because I feel like Charleston could be sort of the finale of this incredible event that is certainly making world news, and for a very negative reason, with these big time impacts to people in the Sunshine State. But eventually, the Peach State, that's Georgia, and the Palmetto State, that is South Carolina, you're going to have some impacts from this as well. And even into my home state, the Tar Heel State, I'm done with that, sorry. North Carolina, yes, you're going to have some impacts from this as well, with rain and squally conditions, maybe even the possibility of flooding. So be ready, be alert, be on top of this thing. I will continue on doing what we do, and we will be streaming live from the vehicle tomorrow once we are up and running again. Thanks to everybody that has supported this through viewing the videos, sharing the videos, and even crowdfunding what we are doing, even if it's just temporary. You just wanted to see the cameras. Hey, every little bit helps. It'll help us to build the future of this and eventually have even better equipment so that we can do our job better of bringing you the best hurricane coverage that we possibly can. All right, that is it for me for now. After this, I'm going to try to get some sleep, and I'll see you again tomorrow as we continue on with this legacy, this incredible legacy of Hurricane Ian.